Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to Tech Talk Live. Today we have a very special guest that's a two-in-one with Erica Schlabach. Good afternoon, Erica, and congratulations. I think you told me you just have like another week to go.
A week and a half, the doctor said today. So,
Oh
yeah.
my goodness. Congratulations. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so I want to know more about you in the nail industry, but I actually want to know more about you personally. And so, do you know if you're going to have a girl or a boy?
Yes, where it's a little girl. Her name is Hazel Ann.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. I love it. And then do you have other children as well?
I do. I have a 20-month-old daughter, and her name is Gretchen. And then I have a son who is 3. His name is Gus. And then I have a heart baby, my stepson. His name is Zachary, and he's 8. So I
Oh
like to
my.
joke and say he's my favorite because I didn't have to gain all this weight.
So true. Well, you look absolutely adorable. And
Thank you.
I loved being pregnant, but I never made it to the end of my pregnancies. My babies were preterm. And so I never got to feel the fullness of that. And so it's amazing though. So maybe that's why I liked my pregnancies.
There's a lot of fullness at the moment.
Oh, well, good morning, and thank you for spending some time with us. So, those of you who have never met Erica Schlebeck, she has one of those, what I call dream stories in the nail industry. This is something that actually she's carrying on a legacy that hopefully Hazel or some of your other children might want to continue carrying on. And you're so needed in our industry for truly proper prep. And so, Erica has a bit company called Erica's ATA. And so I want to go all the way back because I know your story comes in later. The business started before you. And so let's start with like the history of the business and then how did you get into the nail industry?
Yeah. So, well, first, Amy, I want to thank you for this opportunity and just it's been fun getting to know you and chatting. And I love what you're doing of elevating the industry. And when you approached me about being on it, I was just so excited to share my knowledge on this platform with your followers because what we do isn't like the real exciting thing. It's kind of like buying tires, like nobody gets excited. But when people really learn how the difference between our tools, it does get exciting. So thank you for this opportunity today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So it's a funny kind of story. My dad actually was one of the first people, Ed Tausch was one of the first people to ever patent man-made diamonds in his process when he worked for GM. Now he sold out of the company and was getting bored at the age of 40 years old. So he would go to like flea markets back when they used to be in these warehouses. And he went up to a nail technician and saw that she had one of those. Do you remember those like buffalo machines where it had the belts and women would get their hair stuck in them? Like totally old school when there was the belt drives. And yes, we still have people call us and ask if we sell belts for their dinosaur drill. And I will call them drills because I'm pretty sure that's what they were.
Yeah.
Um, so he saw a nail tech doing nails with sanding bands, and he's like, if I cover something in diamond for you, will you try it? Well, here's this like decent looking man coming saying, I want to put diamonds on something for you. Are you gonna say no? So she's like, okay. And my dad took his diamond research and technology and started plating mandrels for the nail industry. And that is really when this is a time when the dental industry and the nail industry, they were starting to merge the end of the 70s, early 80s. And this woman, she loved them and she told her friends. And before you know it, my mom and dad created a lab in their basement, took out a loan for my grandmother, and my mom would go down to Florida and walk into salons as a non-nail tech and said, you want to try these?
Oh my.
And that was the birth of the company. And yeah, so he started that, and then like as little kids, if anybody's following that has been with our product for a while, there used to be this little colored dot foam. There would be like a dot that would represent on the bit what the abrasiveness is to a diamond tool.
Yes.
So it could be like yellow or green. Well, they used to put us in front of the TV with like our juice, and we would be the ones like at age like 10 dotting all the foam. So then and there I was like, I don't want to be a part of the family business. I mean,
That's
I got
no
juice and that
fun.
was great, but I'm like, no, this isn't for me. And my whole life I was always part involved. I had the opportunity and was blessed with the opportunity. I got my master's in business. I thought I was being called to the mission field in Africa, actually, and turns out I was working in human resources and realized I was just a number. I realized there was people in HR calling me honey and things like that, and I was like, if you're not paying my bills, like you can't call me honey. And I realized then maybe working for mom and dad wouldn't be such a bad thing. And I met my husband during that time, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go home and take Erica's to the next level. And I knew the next level was I needed to learn what the process was to become a nail technician. I've heard people talk about how poor school was, like their schooling, how they left with actually more bad habits, frustrated because now there's some debt, and really no confidence. I almost got kicked out of nail school because I asked too many questions. Yep. They didn't like me bringing in an e-file and showing my peers how to use it. And it really just got like, it just ignited this fire in me that I was like, this is a beautiful industry. Like, we need to elevate it and show how these tools work. And that's when I got really passionate about education. And that's when I realized, like, I don't want to just be a manufacturer and making diamond tools, but I actually want to show people and get them excited, because saving time and making money, that's exciting,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And that's where we're at today. There's been a lot of changes, but we want to stay true to being an American manufacturer, just where we oversee the quality of our tools. Um, and really like empowering women, as we all have dreams and careers in this, and really showing how our products and trying to make buying the tires, look more appealing.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I apologize. There
That was
must be a
so
little bit of
winded.
a
Sorry about
delay.
that. I'm sorry, Amy, what was that?
Come back.
Can you hear me?
I can now.
Okay. Would you mind repeating yourself?
Ah, I think I was just agreeing with you, and then it just kind of went away. So I apologize for that. One of the things too about your business is that your dad actually named this company after you when you were little. And so then you decided to take it to the next level after all of these years and then continue on.
Yeah, I'm really thankful. Like, don't get me wrong, anybody who's in a family-oriented business, like there's definitely some of this. There's a lot of this, but there's some of this, especially when there's an age difference and I'm talking about social media and he's like, nobody uses that stuff. And I'm like, Dad, come on.
Mhm.
Like, but it was really exciting. So unfortunately, like my dad passed away about a little over a year ago, but I'm really excited that he got to see me in this role and really be able to see where it was going. So there's a great satisfaction to that my dad got to see the process. And what's great is people start new companies every day, and to just take something good and to try to just build and make something great. And hopefully, my kids or my nieces and nephews one day will want to take it to an even farther level. And just being family owned and operated is we have a lot of fun, Amy. Like, there's
Oh
the
my God.
stressful moments, like trade show before Orlando. It's crazy around here. But I get to see my husband, I get to see my sister, I get to see my mom every day and do everyday life with them. So we have a unique situation here, and it's good.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of times when it does come to family businesses, there are a lot of this, but we grow from that because you want to please everybody that's involved, especially when it's family. And so you take in a little bit of the advice or the opinions from each one and you put it together, you put it to use, and you grow more. If it's always just one person, you're not allowing their team to work with you. You're right, you can't always grow. And man, what a great story about with your dad and stuff like that. I'm sorry for the loss, but
Mm.
I agree with you continuing on the legacy with this and where you are today and using social media and understanding that is another whole thing. So, with your marketing degree, did that help play into the role of you taking over this business?
No, so not at all. Actually, my sister, she like when it comes to technology, I might look young, but there's an old lady in this body. I am so not joking. I mean, I was seriously born in the wrong generation with like social media and Instagram. I am so like, what is that? How do I do this? But my younger sister, she has really taken she's taken it over, and she's really, I think, captured who we are in social media. Sometimes like we've been around for a while, but we're finding our voice on social media platform, and it's been really fun to watch her and coach her along that, like, who are we, like, we know who we are here, but who do we want people to see us as? And that's, I'm sure I use my business, I hope, because I paid for it, I hope I use it more than what I think I am. But I think the biggest thing that I learned with my degree is like just how important education is and how we can get stagnant as people. And I'm a true believer, like, the knowledge is power, and the more that we have, the more better life decisions, career decisions we can make. And that's what I love with what you do with Tech Talks, is like bringing in this information, because I know I've been talking to nail techs like my whole life, and there's some that are just like, this is how I do it, and period. And I'm like, hey, that's great. But I hope with these younger generations, and not to overgeneralize, is like, this is an industry that's always evolving and
Yes.
changing. And we want to make sure that you're changing with it, and to get excited about trying something new instead of having that fear.
Mhm.
Um, so I think that's kind of just, I love education.
Yeah. So I obviously love to stalk my guests. And so I actually Google to find out what comes up on Google. And immediately your website comes up. And then you're blogging. And then you're Twittering. And then history about you running, I believe it was a swimmer in high school was up there. Maybe it wasn't you, but it talked about that. If you Google me, it says that I'm some actress on One Tree Hill.
Oh, that's fun.
And so I always like to Google to find out what comes up. But what is so great is that you have built a social media platform that when we Google you, you come up first. That proves that you have the interaction, you have the following, you have the business sites, you have the connection of all the social medias that you need to. Because you can't be found on Google if you don't have a website, you don't have a Facebook, you don't have like an IG or a Twitter or something like that. You have to have the combo to show up, and then you have to have reviews. And you have all of that. It shows up immediately. And so if you go to your website, you can tell that you have your story. You see your family part in there. And obviously you have the sales of the bits, which we're going to talk a lot about today. It's about these
Cool.
bits. But then you can see that you're blogging. You are actually giving detailed stories about everything from the salon side of it and from the bits and then videos and all of that. You can tell that education is your priority on your site. And that was one of the things that drew me to you, is because on Tech Talk, what we're trying to do is, instead of these techs getting on these forums and asking other people their opinions, why not go directly to the company that you're buying their products, because they want you to be successful with their products, and they have the websites, they have the media out there. And if not, we're working on it, because it's taken us time to learn all these platforms, and algorithms change constantly, so trying to keep up with that. But it's there. And so coming on Tech Talk, we decided to go directly to the companies, directly to the people, and get this information, because the education, you're right, is key. And so thanks for having a great website. It was really fun to read through too.
Cool. Thanks for enjoying it.
Yeah. So how do you find the time to sit down with kids and a husband and business and all of that and blog?
Oh, I mean, it's a daily decision, right? It's a daily decision. I am very fortunate, is we used to have a large warehouse when my dad owned the company, and one of the things that was important to me is still being very family oriented. My husband's one of six. Is that we actually bought land out in the country. So for everybody who wants to know, my commute to work is actually walking, and my husband's a builder, so he built us a warehouse where I'm able to walk to and from work, Amy. So I say I have a dangerous commute, because when it's icy on gravel, like, you're gonna go down. So I'm actually able to work from like from my personal property, and that's been really fun. Also, it engages my kids. My kids are home. I get to have lunch with them. But I'll tell you this, there was one day, Amy, where I was here at work late. I was probably before a trade show because I try to find balance and say, hey, at 4 o'clock, I need to go be mom. Um, but my son was he's very strong-willed, and he decided mommy needed to be home. So he took the little hike over here, and he's 3 years old, and was like, mommy, it's dinner time. It's time to come home. And I was like, why are you over here? And I was like, mommy will be there. He goes, mommy, I want you. And in that moment, I was just like, what I do, I believe is extremely important, but it's not more important than when my little kid, like my son, looks at me and says, it's time to come home. I haven't had you all day. And I don't know, it just did something to my heart that was like, I'm not selling like prescription drugs to save people's lives. I am so dedicated to my customers and to this business, but I'm like, the best thing I can do right now for who I am and to be a healthy business owner is to make sure that I'm not neglecting the most important thing. And I think we get that as moms, as mom guilt, juggling a career, juggling bills, having employees that I want to make sure every Friday they're going to get their paychecks. But to me, it really comes back to my faith and just daily reminding myself is that my kids come first, and I want to be mom. And when I thrive there, everything else just really tends to happen well because my priority is in the right place, and I can come to work feeling really good, knowing my kids are loved on. I have this great opportunity. Now, granted, I only have about like 100 steps to go from like business owner, calling the shots to mom, I want milk, and getting a sippy cup to my head. But I'm like, that's real life, and I think it's just a daily decision I get to do the two things I love, be a mom and hopefully make just a little drop in the bucket difference in this industry where people can say, hey, using these tools have increased, my speed. I'm able to get 2 more people in. My work is different. I've never been an artsy person, but I can do fantastic cuticle work, and that's my niche. Or I can use your bits instead of like hand filing callus. When I hear people like tell me those stories or send me an email like you've changed my game, I'm just like, it just does something, like, you know how it is, Amy, you're an educator, it just does something to your soul. It's like, you mean just my little bit of information like has made you more money, has made you more confident? Like that feeling right there
It's
it's good.
priceless.
It's priceless. It true, and I think that's why we do it. Like I'm so nervous to put myself out there. As much as I talk about how important education is, I'm honestly, Amy, so scared of the haters. Like, and there might only be like 10 haters out of 1,000, but those 10, like I want to pretend I'm tough, but I'm like, it hurts, and I
Mhm.
don't want to give incorrect information, and I'm always trying to evolve as a nail tech, as a business owner, as a young woman. And I make mistakes, or I use a word that maybe I shouldn't have used, and it's just because I didn't think of how it might be translated um, to
Yeah.
somebody, and it's just scary to put yourself out there. But I realized, you have to go where you've never been. You have to venture on new, and people are going to disagree. And you know what? That's okay, because I'm always willing to say, hey, I made a mistake, or hey. And I hope people through that information can like see the authentic,
Authenticity.
authentic. Yes, thank you. In this company, like we don't need to be perfect, like we're
No.
okay sometimes. Like if our banner at a trade show has a little bit of a wrinkle, hey, we made it here. And we're smiling and we're happy.
But people knowing more of your behind the scenes stories of what you really juggle with and where your passion really is. I mean, obviously, with any business, it's about sales and it's about making the money so that we can support our families, you
Mhm.
know, for the type of lifestyle that we want to give them. But knowing your story and stuff, it's so much more accepting of when we see the imperfections, and it's more real when we understand that. So I actually think that you need to go live more, and you need to allow the naysayers to happen. Here's why. I am actually going to go live in our group talking about this. I've done many leadership programs. I have actually been the president of our Chamber of Commerce, and like in pretty big roles that to me I did not even fit. But I said yes. I didn't want to miss an opportunity. These people believed in me and put me in this position for a reason. And I'm just going to wing it. And I'm going to allow these mistakes to happen because what I realize is all these people in these positions are not approachable. Just like a politician in a way, they're not willing to come to our door. They're not willing to be real with us and get hands on and show us. They just want to be this face. And I never wanted to just be that. So just like you don't want to be just the face of your business. You want to do this. So in the leadership program, I learned these steps, and the like sixth step in it is a sinker, and those are your naysayers. If you don't allow those naysayers to come in, you don't have to agree with them. You can say thank you for sharing your story with me, thank you for your advice, thank you for speaking up and letting me see another side of us, but it doesn't mean that you have to agree with anything that they have. You can either, then what happens is sometimes those naysayers, just because you um, talked back with them with respect and you didn't go, well, I don't want your opinion, I didn't ask for it, you're not like that. And so just because you respected their opinion, they become on board with you. And so maybe out of those 10 that you were worried about, 6 of them are all of a sudden going to have their eyes open to something different that they were closed-minded on. You're going to maybe see things a little bit different. We have to allow those haters or those sinkers to come in because that's how we grow. And they actually end up becoming part of your team. And it blows your mind. And so with me going live more and more and more and sharing and learning, remembering the things that I've learned from my leadership programs and stuff, it helped me so much of understanding that when there's somebody that says, Amy, your lighting's off, or your camera's not clear, or the internet was wrong, I can't control those things. And I'm not going to try to control it all because I can never make a perfect video. I can never please every single person. And I don't speak every single language to make this the greatest international thing. But I'm going to be me and I'm going to be real about who I am. And that's all you can do. And Erica, what you just said was exactly what we like to see in the industry is the realness that, yeah, our banner is going to be wrinkled, but you should have seen what it took to get that banner here. And that's going to be okay. They're going to accept that because it's real. And those ones that are closed-minded that aren't ready for that yet, and they're going to judge that, they're not going to last in our industry because, like you said, it's ever changing all the time. If you stay in that one lane and the same speed and you never change lanes and see what's on the other side and open your mind to everything else, you're not going to make it in the long haul in the industry. And both of us are proof that this industry is very rewarding. And, I've been doing this for 26 years, but I'm in this because of my family as well. My grandfather was a barber. My mom was a hairdresser. My aunt, a hairdresser. My cousin's a nail tech. Like, it runs in our blood. And we know that what it takes is to be open-minded and just be us. And so, not to take over that platform, but I just want you to know that sometimes we allow those sinkers in. They become part of our biggest support group. They become the believers, a part of our team. And let that happen. So you just have to get over the mindset of that.
I got truth bumps. You saying that. Like, yes, there's so much truth, and I can sit here and be like, yeah, bring it on. And I'm like,
I know.
Let's bring it on slowly.
If you need me to record a motivational thing that you have to watch every time before you go live, I'll do that. I'll be nervous to create that for you.
We do. We have quotes all around here. Whether you're in the bathroom, pulling an order, it sits there. So maybe I'll take you up on that.
Okay, sounds good. So back to business. One of the things that you showed me earlier in our pre-live is that you're actually sitting in your warehouse and it's your workshop area. And so I don't know if you can show it. If not, we'll take pictures of it later. But you have tables set up just like what we see in big trade shows where you can tell that you can accommodate to quite a few techs and they're doing workshops. So do you want to elaborate a little bit more of what it takes for us to get into your workshop?
Yeah. So what's really great is we have like a workshop. It's also a showroom right here that I'm sitting in, and we can hold about 18 to 20 nail techs, and we have different professionals come out here and teach classes where we're bringing more education to the Midwest. We're located in Ohio, so we see people from Pennsylvania, people from Virginia have actually come, but Michigan, Illinois. It's just be creating another environment for good education. And since I am a nail tech and a manufacturer, I really get to pull from this great hub of people that I know are fantastic educators, and to just really um, increase their skill set. So we invite educators to come here. I teach e-filing classes here as well. It's a room that we have really just dedicated to, if you want to come, if you have something to share, we want you here, and we're going to try everything to fill this class. So when people walk away, it's good feelings of good education that's hands-on, and it's all workshop, not just demo. So you're getting to play with the product. And yeah, we really like it.
Yeah. And so do you promote that through your website? How do people find it?
Yeah, we sure do. So actually on our website, ericasata.com, we have an education page. So when we're at trade shows and stuff, we will also like post them there, but we also plug via Facebook, social media, who's coming, what the dates are, and what the class is. And for people who are in Ohio, we try to make them continuing ed classes. So it's something that's also going towards their license, but unfortunately, it's just for Ohio people.
Yeah,
But
not
yeah.
all the states. Like I'm in Wyoming, and Wyoming doesn't have any, you don't need continuing education, which was one of the reasons why I got into it. And I actually call it ongoing education because I don't want them to get it confused that what I teach you is not going to give you the accredited points from state to state. What I teach you is like the nerdy nail knowledge of my experience. So I call it ongoing education, but it's exactly that. That's what it takes is for us to open up and share our knowledge with other people. So that's cool. So in your state, that goes in as the continuing education points towards their, like every year they have to do like 2 hours or something to keep their license.
In the state of Ohio, they actually have to do 7 hours every 2 years.
Okay.
So, yeah. And actually, Amy, can I put a timeout real quick? I got to grab my cell phone charger so we don't,
Yes.
those are probably things I should have thought about up front. 1 second.
Go
Hey,
for it.
April, the cell phone's going to go dead in like 3 seconds.
If it goes dead, you guys know that we'll bring her
It's not
right
really
back.
3 seconds. I just wanted to sound extreme. Can I have a cell phone plug? This phone's about to go dead. Okay. Hopefully she'll move a little faster.
So you guys, if you don't know, who she's yelling at is her sister, April, because her sister, like this really is a family business. Her sister, her husband, everybody is there to help out. She has a team around her, and that's what it takes to be successful. So what's your sister's role in helping out?
Putting up with me. The highs and the lows, the baby hormones, if I need her to watch the kids. No, but in all seriousness, we are a small operated business, so wearing a lot of hats, we need a lot of flexibility, but things have been growing so nicely that her main role now is really taking care of our distributors, because we have distributors all over the world, and also really concentrating on marketing. Her background is in like zookeeping, so this is all a new platform. But what I love about April, my sister, is she's a great supporter. She's one of those people you can just hand a project to, and they're like, I don't know how to do this, but I'll figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And
So just
yeah,
like right now, she's going to figure out to get you a cell phone charger.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So thank you, April.
You're welcome. I'm bragging about you. Oh.
So when you go to the trade shows, does April and your husband and everybody come?
It depends on the show. It depends how old my kids are and if they're like breastfeeding. It's like my husband, like while we were at Orlando once, was I was doing a workshop, and he was very needy, so he was literally sitting outside in a little corner with like our 3-month-old, and he would just text me and say, can you take a quick break? He's hungry, and he didn't take a bottle. So it's I just remember laughing through those moments of like trying to teach a workshop at Orlando and like running around the corner for 5 minutes to like feed my son. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, but I'm like, you know what? This is real life, and this is who we are. And that's why we really think our customers are family, because that's just what we kind of ooze around here. And we hope that's what we create is, it's funny sometimes, Amy, I'll just share this, is, sometimes my staff is on vacation or they're home with sick kids, and I pick up the phone and I'm just like, just doing sales and service. And then when we get off the phone, sometimes they're like, well, what's your name? And I'm like, Erica. And they're like, oh, what a coincidence that your name's Erica too. And I'm just like, Yeah, what a coincidence. Because people don't think that they're going to have that connection with the owner or, with the higher up. And I'm like, hey, I mean, I'm here. If you want to talk to me, like I am available and I don't ever want to lose that contact with my customers. Because not only that is a lot of our progression and the tools that we make are from those conversations of someone saying, why don't you create a tool that does this? And I'm like, because nobody's ever told me that's been a problem. But let's talk more about what you're trying to achieve. And that's when I get excited is because I don't have to spend all this money in R&D. I just have to listen and say, I really care. Tell me where you're getting stuck. Tell me where you're tell me where your points are of how long it's taking to take off, product and why is it taking or glitter, and when I get that kind of information, it's exciting because then we get to create something that said, I listened and here's the solution for it. And then I get an opportunity to share it. And then, that's what I kind of geek out to is knowing that I've truly made a difference because we found a solution to a problem and it just showed up at my doorstep.
Yes, exactly that. But it's because you listen to everybody, whether they were like naysaying it, and you're like, well, I want to correct that. So it's kind of funny. So I actually took my e-file course through an orthodontist office. I was an orthodontist assistant. And even though I used the e-file, I had the old OPI foot pedaled one from the early 90s. And I had it until about 2 years ago. That
Oh,
was the one e-file I had, and they don't even make them anymore. So when I contacted them to say, hey, I think it's just the foot power part. I think it just over the years, I've cleaned it, I've done all of that. Obviously I did because I saved it for over 20 years, but I think it just wore out. I wrote a eulogy for it. Like it had a great life and all the stories that I heard. And so when I had to search for getting a new e-file, seriously, just in the last 2 years, I was like, I have to have one. And then I started searching more and more about Russian manicures and about the different bits and skivers and all of that kind of stuff. So I can say for me, it was almost another big stepping stone of prep and saving time. And it's been unreal. And of course, I teach prep in every single workshop that I do because it's important. Even if it's about a nail art workshop, if you don't have proper prep, and those nails aren't going to stay on, your nail art's not going to stay on. And then you're not going to get the reputation that you want. So it really does come down to this prep. And so opening my eyes to all the different companies that were out there and all the different new bits, it's not just the big course bit. That's the one that I used for all these years. And
yep.
so I don't want to say, how do you stay on top of what's that? Because you just shared that people are like, hey, you should have one for this. But the education side of knowing what to use for each one too, because you can create rings of fire. There's other things that happen with that, but the proper education on how to use the e-files there. So here I learned through an orthodontist office, like how to use like the little detailed ones. And I took that with me to the salon. And in Wyoming, we can do that. But where, in other places in other countries, you can't. You actually have to take this course.
Great.
And so, how do you approach people that are newcomers of what to buy? What bits do they need? What's the education of the carbide versus the ceramic bits?
Well, that's a whole workshop right there
Yeah.
with all that information. I think the biggest thing, like for people who are new to electric filing, is a few things. Is that understanding the big difference between carbides and diamond. Carbide, those little flutes, like the flutes, or we also call them teeth. They're little blades. So like removing bulk, they're really phenomenal for that. You would never use them on the natural nail because it would hurt it significantly because it's little blades. Whereas diamond is really where you see some of your shaping as well as all your cuticle bits. So I definitely know there's some carbide cuticle bits that are circulating through social media pages, and that's probably the only time that I get kind of like, that's really misleading. Those are little blades in a really tender area, but diamond is like exfoliating, so it's like a scratching, and that's why we can use it with a gentle pressure like on the natural nail, which is even still like with great caution. But that's why we're really able to clean up the cuticle so nicely, is because it's not as aggressive on live skin, but with the dead skin doing it dry, that just flakes right off. So like for me, like a pair of nippers, I mean, I could do more damage with those than what I can with an e-file with some diamond bits. Ceramic bits, I think they're fantastic for like the first 2 weeks. It's not something we really push because we find for the price point, they dull out really quick.
Mm.
Um, so they're not something, I feel like they're some people, they're all about them because they are cool cutting. However, I don't really think for as long as we want our tools to last that there's really that value when you could use a diamond or a carbide. And sanding bands, they're completely different. They're really popular because they're disposable. But one of the things that I caution like new nail techs on is when you're starting with the first finger working with sanding bands, by the time you get to the 10th, like your bit is all gummed up, like the abrasiveness has come off of it. So you're constantly like changing your pressure, your speed to accommodate that on every single finger versus finding like that confidence, like, okay, this is where I feel comfortable doing my cuticle work. This is where I feel comfortable doing my shaping or my removal. So there's pros and cons to all of them. It's really just finding your style, as you know, and like in sticking with it. I think the biggest thing that nail techs do, newbies or even people who've been in the industry a long time, is running the bits too low and then applying too much pressure, like allowing the machine to do the work. And then another thing is like when our acrylic runs out or when our glitter runs out, we take that jar and we throw it away because it's empty. Well, with bits, they don't go empty, but they do dull down. And that doesn't mean we should collect them and hoard them. It means we should dispose of them just like we did with our empty glitter, and we should buy a new one. So people are like, oh yeah, I have like 100 bits. And I'm like, so you have 2 bits that are working and the other ones are creating heat and vibration that you've had for 10 years. Well, yeah, some of them do say that this gets hot. I'm like, throw it away. It's dead. It's had its life, and that's probably one of the hardest things that we see nail technicians do is they're using bits that are super dull. They're expecting them to last for years, and it's just not efficient. It's not getting the product off quicker. It's not comfortable for the client. It's just something that still looks the same, but it does not operate the same. And so all you ladies and gentlemen out there, if you have 100 bits, today's the day. Take them, trash them, call me.
I love it. I 2 years ago I moved and I had my salon in the last location for 18 years and I had 7 nail techs and we'd buy in bulk and all that kind of stuff. And so when I was moving here and we were separating our stuff, I didn't realize how much stuff we saved for some reason. And it actually became really gross. And so we all decided that maybe we needed to order new. And it was around that same time as when my e-file went out. And so I did get new bits and a new e-file. And I guess I didn't realize I was so used to my one e-file about the bogging down because I never experienced the bogging down. And so being able to control the speed a little bit more, I think it's because I was always foot powered. So if I needed more, I just, added more with my foot.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's hand. And so it was a little bit more for me to get used to because I could literally put my bit down onto the nail and I could stop it. And then you're bogging down your machine and you notice the handle gets hot. There's other things that happen. And so understanding the speeds was another huge thing. I'm using this bit needs to go with this speed and this bit, maybe this speed, depending what you're doing and the pressure that you're doing. And so do you have any tips on helping people with that? Or do we just wait for it to bog down and no, speed it up?
Well, and you know what, that's a great question because one of the things is like portable is really in right now. Portable's not really my thing unless you're an educator or you're a mobile where you're going out. And the reason for that is with portable is you're constantly adjusting the speed. So when it's fully charged, it's running at like that 20,000 RPMs, but after 3 hours, it's less and less and less. And sometimes like newbies get so fixed on, well, what RPMs? And like we get asked that all the time, what RPMs do I use on this bit? And I'm like, well, it depends what kind of machine do you have? Like, are you using a Dremel? Are you using a professional? Are you using some $50 machine on Amazon? It really depends on that torque and that balance. So it's like a loaded question. And I don't want to tell somebody something because once it goes back to like, well, you said this. And I'm like, well, yeah, but I'm not on a professional e-file and not like on a low or high Dremel tool. Like there's got to be some context behind it. But really just Allowing the machine to do the work is, I think, the biggest thing. Like doing cuticle work, depending on like the abrasiveness on the bits. I personally, and it's very light pressure and angles, is like running it between 7 and 10,000 RPMs, and that's on a professional like e-file where you're doing more of the removing and stuff. It should cut like butter. If you're like applying pressure, you feel like you're getting heavy-handed, then that means you need to evaluate your speed or evaluate, is it time to get a new bit. But your client shouldn't be feeling vibration. They shouldn't be feeling heat. Your hand shouldn't be cramping where you're feeling like you're really tense and holding on to it. It should really just be like navigating a car. Like when you're going on a long road trip, just put it in autopilot and just go and be smooth. I think that's the easiest way I can answer that. But when in doubt, like turn it up.
Yeah, yeah, so
Yeah,
true.
especially for feet too. So especially for doing feet and like actually electric file pedicures, if you're learning how to do, like if you're just really feeling skittish with e-file, starting on feet and callus is a great way to start building confidence. If you're not sure. Hi there. Yes, actually, one moment. Hey, April. Sorry. No, sorry. Would you mind just going to the other door? For postal. What else could?
I know, I was teasing that usually it's the Swan Man or my neighbor's kids or somebody that comes by on my lives. Today's just your day.
Yeah, you just pass it on to me. That's all right, I can handle it. I'm the pregnant lady behind the camera.
Oh, I love it. Well, because we've been almost talking for an hour already, and obviously there's so much way more I want to talk about. One, I want to talk about cleaning of the bits. And the other topic I want to bring up is that now with the way the bits are being cut, it doesn't matter if you're left-handed or right-handed. And so I want to be able to bring up those two topics.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I love that you asked me about cleaning the bits. We get a lot of phone calls not even asking about if we should autoclave them, and whatever your disinfecting protocol is like being consistent and making sure your clients know that as well, because that is so huge, especially with the cuticle bits. But it's important for people to remember is that we have to remove all of the debris. If we have not removed all of the debris and we're just putting it directly into our disinfectant that's sitting there conveniently next to our chair, that's just contaminating our disinfectant, and it's not the process. So just taking like a wire brush, Amy, just something like this is really nice to be able to remove all the particles in it. Warm water and soap. You do the same thing with your cuticle nippers, your implements, and then once all of that debris is removed, if there's still some on there, keep scrubbing. Maybe it's some kind of acrylic, it needs to be an acetone, and then putting it in disinfectant and really understanding your disinfectant timing. So some of those high-grade disinfectants are peroxide based, and it will eat your bit. Like if you leave it in overnight, you're gonna come back and your bit's gonna be dissolved because metal is corrosive, right? So anytime it's soaking in something, it's starting to break down. Now, that's why it's so important to not leave your bits even in like alcohol or acetone or anything that's liquid, because it's breaking it down. Will it happen overnight if it's a lower grade disinfectant? No, but if you keep that mentality, or that's how you're cleaning them, every weekend you just put all your bits in and you come back in on Tuesday, that's a significant problem. And you're going to see that your bits and even your implements, even with your nice cuticle nippers, they're wearing down quicker. So the best thing you can do is whatever disinfectant you're using is really follow the protocol and take them out. Usually like for like barbicide, leukocyte, and usually it's about 10 minutes, and then making sure they're dried off and stored in a container that has holes, something where it has airflow, and just doing that. Also, I think the best thing is for your clients to see you do that. I think customers are becoming more aware of salons cutting corners. And are looking for a higher elevated way of doing it. So I think it's important to share those kind of things of why you're doing this, or saying, hey, I know you're going on vacation, you might get a balance. This is what you want to look for. Because once again, it goes back to education, and our clients should understand, like, I'm taking care of you. Like, there's a reason that we do this process. And then to answer your question about like bits, so what's really nice about diamond and sanding bands is they are dual cutting. So dual cutting is they can cut left or right, and they can be rocked back and forth. However, carbides are usually in one direction unless they're specified. So usually they're right-handed bits unless it says dual cutting. Dual cutting means it's a good for a lefty or a righty. And then there's more companies coming out with just more lefty bits that are for carbides. But so unfortunately for the lefties, it's just something that you'll want to clarify or make sure you reread. Is this dual cutting? Then it's for you, or if it's lefty. But if it just says like coarse carbide, you can't put your machine on reverse. It's like trying to cut like a cheese block with the backside of a knife, and you're just going to create a lot of frustration for yourself and most likely end up cutting your client.
Yes, and you
So
get a
be
lot of
careful.
balancing.
Yeah.
Yes. So we have lots of comments on here as well. They just landed back from Viva Las Vegas. And of course, you know, with the new Facebook rules and all that, I can't see your names. All I can see is a commenter. So I'm sorry if I'm not being as personal as I normally am. But some people have said that they've taken your workshops, and thanks for your workshops. Not only did it speed up their time, but it also, you know, gave them better retention and stuff. And so you actually, I thought I was going to get to meet you in September. I'm going to be at the Utah Nail Expo. However, with you just having a newborn along the way, you have Hillary coming. And so is Hillary part of your guys' family, or was she an ambassador, an educator that you guys brought on to help out?
I honestly just had the pleasure of training and working with Hillary about a month ago, and like she's like my redheaded sister. Like when April and I met her, it was like, you're like my sister from another mother. It was like you were a part of the team, but she really just approached us like she loves our product. She started working with us as an ambassador, and it was like then she came on as an educator. So if we want to get technical, she is one of our e-file educators, but like in my heart, like she's definitely my redheaded sister.
Oh, I love it. Just building your family, building your team. Exactly
Exactly.
that.
There's no limits to love.
So I'll definitely be sure to stop by and say hello to Hillary while she's there. So where else can we find you? What's next?
So what's next? Actually, Amy, what's really exciting is I'm really passionate about feet and geriatrics and our baby boomers, and this whole term like medical nail technician. That's really where my heart is. So I've actually recently, with not just having a baby, is I've actually hired someone to take over my position. And I'm going to start working on really trying to bridge this nail industry with the medical community. Instead of having two polar opposites, is creating a medical pedicure spa. So that's where my attention is going to go. I have a heart for old people, and not just that, just elevating our pedicures and really just making customers realize like there's a lot of pre-diabetics, it's an epidemic, and there just needs to be ways that we adjust doing pedicures. And I think there's so in school, it's usually like, oh, here's your sloth and here's your little rasp that you'll be there for days on some people. And just like really taking that information with e-filing and product knowledge to the next level, and to not just talk about it, but to be doing it daily, where we can tune into these like doing things like this and really showing the whole world like there's another approach. It doesn't just have to be this way, because I feel like with pedicuring it's become like a price war. Like I can go there for a $25 pedicure and I'm like, what products are they using? And anybody who's doing that, we want to help elevate that so that you're making money. That's working way too hard for $25. And so it's super scary to think I just gave somebody my job. But it's exciting to know I have that freedom to really hopefully go back to that little drop in the bucket of saying, hey, I made somewhat of a little bit of a difference. And if not, I took a big risk to hopefully help a lot of people elevate their services, like not just here, but around the world, and saying there's a better way of doing this. Let's do it together.
Yes. I love it. I talk about, I didn't want to get into the medical side of the pedicures. I love pampering. And so for me, what I did, and I love her name still today, Sylvia Trotter is a podiatrist that lived in our town. And I love that her last name was Trotter because it just tied into, the whole thing. And she was trying to build up her podiatrist business. And then I was trying to build up my salon at the same time. And we actually met at a hospital expo where I had a program called Mammals, Manis, and Massage. And we gave mini manicures and massages to anybody that went and got a mammogram. We really pushed it. Did that for over 20 years. It was an amazing program. It's still going, actually. I just don't live there anymore to help with it. And so one of the things that we did is we tied up with public health. So Sylvia Trotter on Wednesdays would go do clippings of people who, for any reason, whether they were elderly, they couldn't reach their feet, they were diabetic, and they wanted a proper trimming. And so we ended up linking in together. And so our clients would go on Wednesdays and get all of the toe care that they needed, but then they got a discount because I didn't have to do all the toe care. So their pedicure actually became less. And so they got it professionally done from a podiatrist, the medical side of it. And then they came to us to get the pedicure, which was the pampering side of it. And we teamed up together and we did that for years. It was an amazing program. So it tied my salon into public health. It tied us into a podiatrist, which they got to take on the side that I thought was the big scary side for me. And then we got to do the pampering side and it worked really well with all of us. And so sometimes even if you don't want to do the knowledge yourself, reach out to somebody who has that knowledge. Even if there's another nail tech in your area that's a medical tech, link in with them, connect. They want to do the toe side of it and, do the trimming and pull out the ingrowns and all that kind of stuff. Maybe they don't want to do the pampering and you do. Like, you don't know till you reach out and know who your competition is and who the doctors are in your area and link up. It's amazing how much better it can be. Yeah. So what you're doing is needed. Our feet are so important to every single one of us, more than our nail extensions, because our nails are important as well. And so you're right. That's a huge part of our industry that kind of fear.
I totally agree. You're always trailblazing, Amy. So yes, that's that's definitely the road we want to go towards.
That's wonderful. I love it. And so, what next show can we find you at? So, you're the new Utah Nail Expo later on this year. Is there anything else the rest of this year that you're going to be doing?
No, for nail techs, there won't be anything for the rest of the year. We always go to the Orlando show in Florida, which is always a lot of fun and have a lot of workshops there. And then we go to the Gatlinburg show, which I think is the end of June of 2019. And then hopefully we'll be back in Utah. So those will be where you can actually physically find us. But if you're looking for like training, I think the best thing is we do have educators that travel. That are willing to connect and to put classes, anywhere in the United States. Usually we only need about 10 or 12 people and it's very affordable. It comes with a kit and it's literally game-changing information. Just like when you were talking about like the differences between the bits and stuff, like it's literally like a 6-hour class. So like we've kind of hit the iceberg, but there's a lot and there's a lot of technique. So it's definitely, if somebody is like self-trained with an e-file, there's definitely information that's going to help have aha moments. It's one of those fun classes. It doesn't have to be for newbies because there's just so much more information out there on how to do things and with different techniques. So
Absolutely. And once again, go to Erica's website and we'll put it in the comments of how to get there and stuff like that. But go to her website because there's lots of videos and tutorials on there of how to use it, different things and understand as well. Education is definitely your website base, and I really enjoyed going through your website. And of course, you have Facebook and all of the other platforms as well. So we'll make sure that those are added into the comments.
yeah. Well, and also, Amy, I wanted to thank you again for this opportunity, but everybody who's taken the time just to learn more about me and what we're doing here is, again, we're a manufacturer, so all of our diamond stuff is made here. And if you've never tried out our product, we actually, if it's okay with you, we'd like to extend like $10 off your first order to not just get to know us, but the proof is in the pudding and to try out our product. So there's no minimum. It's $10 if you use the promo code Tech Talk. now until the 8th of August. We would love for you to take advantage of that and just to really experience our educational videos, which we will do more in 2019. That is something that I should probably promise you guys, because then there's accountability instead of just being like, yeah, we'll do videos. Accountability is good. But we would love you to take that opportunity for everybody who has been listening today and to try out our products and give us feedback, because you might be the next person that creates the bit that is a game changer, and we would love for that input. So
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. So once again, we'll put the promo code not only in our list, Sammy, who is admin on our group, is our computer tech girl, and she'll create the promo codes for that so they can find that there, and we'll put them in the comments as well. Thank you for extending that. That's a huge offer. And you talk about truth bumps. I got those as you were saying that. I was like, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
yeah.
So thank you, Erica and April, and I know your husband was there as well. And congratulations. In another week and a half, you're going to be a mom again of a little Hazel. And congratulations in advance on that. And look forward to following you on social media and seeing pictures, hopefully.
Awesome. Yes, they will be there. Hopefully one of the four will decide to continue on, but well, we've
Yeah,
tried.
my two kids have absolutely no desire to be in the industry at all. My daughter sometimes still will say, well, maybe if I became a nail tech, and I'm obviously going to learn from you, mom, and then I can do that because she's going to go to college right now. She's going to be an orthodontist assistant, or a dental hygienist, I should say. And so, anyways, I think I might be able to persuade her a little bit, but my son, absolutely not. Yeah, yeah. Oh, well, it's okay.
Yeah, it took me to 24 before I came full circle, so there's still time.
Well, he is 24. However, he's in college to be a pharmacist, so I kind of want him to continue on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Erica, thank you so much. Congratulations on not only continuing the legacy of your family business, but growing more and more in your own. And then, once again, just your heartfelt and your passion for the industry. You can feel it, you can see it. And so, that's one of the things that I love about Tech Talks is that, sometimes we can meet people through social medias, but we don't actually get to meet them until it's a conversation like this. And then you see what it's really about. And that's what we support. So thank you for sharing your time and your knowledge with us today, too.
Anytime, Amy. It's been a lot of fun. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah. So, Erica, thank you. For those of you that are staying tuned, on Sunday, I have a special tech talk with Nikki Petway. And Nikki, I just purchased one of those, I call them the creepy hands, and she's going to talk to us about those. And then she's also been in the industry for a long time. And so we get to share some of her nerdy nail knowledge as well. So on Sunday, you guys can always find our tech talks in the events. If you missed them, Kim started developing, now Facebook has units in our groups, and she started developing the units. And so in the units, you can click on there and you can go through every tech talk we've done. And I want to say today's tech talk is number 60. So there's a lot of interviews from a lot of significant people in our industry that we can learn so much from. So if you ever want to go back and watch another one, they're easy to find in the unit section. So Kim, thank you for taking the time to do all of that. So Erica, again, thank you guys so much. Thanks for everybody that joined in. We're going to add the links in the comments, and of course I'll go through on the replay and see if there's any questions that we missed. So I apologize if we did. With the new way that Facebook is, it doesn't allow me to see all that stuff anymore. I understand it and I appreciate what they're doing, and I appreciate we can still go live, but it's a little frustrating because it's not as easy as it was before. So thank you guys so much.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.